Hello everyone, I'm Brian Miller, and this is the NewsNet Weekly Roundup, the weekly show where I break down the biggest news stories out of the Star Wars universe. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell to be notified anytime there's new content. Without further ado, let's get started. Star Wars Outlaws is going to have even more expansive worlds than those seen in Ubisoft's 2018 hit Assassin's Creed Odyssey, according to the developers of the upcoming open-world adventure game. Talking to Edge Magazine, Star Wars Outlaws creative director Julian Girardi explained that exploring each playable planet will be something of an odyssey in and of itself, with some worlds doubling or tripling the size of one of Assassin's Creed Odyssey's 7 zones. All of the worlds in the video game are designed from scratch by Ubisoft Massive Entertainment and are not procedurally generated. That being said, each world has fixed locations that you can visit above the planet and on the surface, which is effectively the standard for Star Wars video games anyway. Star Wars Outlaws takes place between the events of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, so the developers sought to recreate the feel of what the Star Wars galaxy looked like around that time, down to creating a quote-unquote lens for the game's camera that makes the adventure have similar lighting and presentation to the movies. As far as gameplay is concerned, Girardi indicated that players having extensive freedom is a major goal for this title, with each encounter being set up to have multiple possible approaches that suit where the player wants to take Cave S. These encounters will have long-term consequences for the player, as the game's quote-unquote reputation system will open up avenues for specific quests and affect your standing with various factions as you progress. Nyx, the animal companion and partner in crime for Vess, serves as a similar function to BD-1 in the Jedi games by assisting the player in the various combat and puzzle sequences that she experiences. Some other details pointed out in the piece are that the Trailblazer, the ship players will use to explore the Outer Rim, was inspired by spaceship models and toys in the 1970s and 80s, though the droid ally ND5 is based more on the designs of the prequel trilogy. Nyx's look is also inspired by Jim Henson's various characters being somewhat more in line with the 1970s and 80s aesthetic. Star Wars Outlaws showcases the criminal underworld during the waning days of the Galactic Empire. Players will step into the shoes of Cave S, who works alongside ND5, a modified BX series commando battle droid, and her pet alien creature Nyx. Under the recommendation of the mysterious Jalen, Nyx and her allies will go on a journey that will have her fight against the Empire and the various crime syndicates working parallel to them. This motley crew will explore a variety of open-world environments across the galaxy far, far away, using their wit and will to survive. The developer of Star Wars Outlaws, Massive Entertainment, hosted a panel at San Diego Comic-Con 2023 where they discussed more about the game's characters, planets, and the game's exploration. Many of the game's developers also spoke to media outlets to discuss some of the characters and inspirations for the game. For those who weren't in attendance at San Diego Comic-Con, StarWars.com published an interview with the game's creative director discussing some of the game's many elements. A 6-minute behind-the-scenes featurette with Massive Entertainment was also made available online on YouTube. Alongside this, news outlets such as IGN and Screen Rant were able to provide some other details that were given inside the panel, as well as interview some of the developers. One of the details given was about some of the crime syndicates that players will interact with. Senior creative executive Matt Martin says in the behind-the-scenes video that there are even some new syndicates never before seen. After saying this, the video displays new artwork of Kay standing face-to-face with Jabba the Hutt in his palace. IGN did state during the panel that players will be spending some time in Jabba's palace, running missions for him and even betraying him at some point. One of the new crime families that players will encounter is a group called the Ashiga Clan, based on the planet Kijimi, the snowy planet shown in The Rise of Skywalker, destroyed by one of the planet-killing Star Destroyers. The developers also talked about the locations within the game and some of the inspirations behind them. The behind-the-scenes video can be found on Ubisoft's YouTube channel, but for your convenience, we'll drop the link in the description below. Star Wars Outlaws will be released sometime in 2024. San Diego Comic-Con is now wrapping up. Lucasfilm Publishing held their panel yesterday revealing new details about their upcoming books and comics soon to be released. For those who weren't in attendance, StarWars.com provided a full summary of the highlights from the panel. Most of the news shared focuses on Phase 3 of the High Republic initiative. However, there were also some new looks at other non-High Republic publications, including information on From a Certain Point of View, Return of the Jedi, pages from Marvel's upcoming Dark Droids crossover, and the cover for a new Star Wars visual guide focused on the early years of the Rebellion. Up first, Lucasfilm Publishing showed off covers of 2 upcoming High Republic books. The first book highlighted is The High Republic: Escape from Valo, a middle-grade book by Daniel Jose Older and Alyssa Wong that introduces new Jedi into the story, along with the returning Ram Jamaram. The novel will be released January 30th, 2024. Following that, Lucasfilm Publishing showed off the cover for The High Republic: Defy the Storm, a young adult novel featuring Vernestra Rowe, Jordana Sparkburn, and Avon Staros, written by Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland. Defy the Storm hits shelves on March 12th, 2024. The covers for issues 1 and 2 of the mainline The High Republic comic were also shown off. Phase 3 will continue to be written by Kevin Scott and feature Keeve Tennis's return. Scott noted that Keeve's arc will center on coming to terms with being a Jedi Master, much like her arc in Phase 1 centered on her coming to terms with being a Jedi Knight. On the cover of issue 2 is a new villain known as the Children of the Storm. And yes, that is Lorna D on the cover of issue 1, apparently siding with the Jedi. The series launches in November. There's also a new comic series, The High Republic: The Shadow of Starlight, which takes place within the first year after the fall of Starlight Beacon. This will be written by Charles Soule, and the cover for issue 2 was shown. Issue 1 releases this October. The High Republic Adventures also is making a return alongside its characters Zine and Court, written by Daniel Jose Older. Both covers of issues 1 and 2 were revealed. The series returns in December. And finally, for the High Republic, a few pages were shown for the upcoming The High Republic Character Encyclopedia, which will feature over 200 characters. Check out the full breakdown on StarWars.com for more pages from the book before picking it up on December 6th. In other non-High Republic initiative news, From a Certain Point of View, Return of the Jedi will be featuring a story written by Alex Jennings, who will be focusing on Obi-Wan Kenobi. The upcoming novel will be released on August 29th, with the large majority of the characters featured still remaining a mystery. The panel also showcased a few pages from Marvel's upcoming Dark Droids crossover. Art for Dark Droids D-Squad issue number 1 was also shown, featuring R2-D2 and Chopper, written by Mark Guggenheim. All of the Dark Droids fun starts on August 2nd. Tales of the Death Star will soon be releasing in September, but for now, fans can take a look at a preview of the comic written by Kevin Scott, which will showcase stories from A New Hope to The Rise of Skywalker. And finally, the cover and a few pages for the visual guide titled Star Wars: Dawn of the Rebellion were revealed. The guide is written by Pablo Hidalgo and will provide high-quality images and details about interesting figures, locations, and events focused on the formation of the rebellion featured in Andor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and more. The guide will be available on November 7th. This certainly isn't all, however, as LaughingPlace.com also took a photo of one of Lucasfilm Publishing's slides showcasing current, new, and upcoming books and comics. Star Wars Newsnet will continue to cover these upcoming books and comics in the future. And finally, we have some new canon for you this week. Star Wars Inquisitor: Rise of the Red Blade by Delilah Dawson released on Tuesday, as well as Dr. Aphra issue number 34 on Wednesday. Reviews for those entries into the canon timeline can be found on our website. And that does it for your Newsnet Weekly Roundup this week. All of these stories and more can be found in greater detail on our website, StarWarsNewsNet.com. Don't forget to check back regularly for updates to stories and breaking news out of the Star Wars universe. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also follow me on Twitter at BrianMiller1138 and catch me each week on my show, the Star Wars Canon Podcast. Until next time, may the Force be with you.